My beloved soul, listen carefully. What is happening right now is not coincidence, and it is not imagination. There is a reason your attention was drawn here at this precise moment. Do not rush. Do not scroll away, because what you are about to hear explains something you have been feeling but could not name. I, Archangel Michael, speak now with clarity and restraint. There is a quiet truth moving toward you. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not demand your attention with force. It approaches softly, patiently, the way real truth always does. And every night, while the world sleeps, something unseen is happening that involves you. You may have noticed it already. A heaviness in your chest without a clear reason. A sudden wave of emotion that appears when everything is calm. A pull toward stillness. A sense that something is unfolding behind the scenes. You are not wrong. Every night, when the noise of the world fades, someone connected to your life enters a moment of truth they cannot escape during the day. They do not speak about it. They do not share it. They do not even fully understand it yet. But energy never lies. Every night, they turn inward, and every night, their thoughts move toward you. Not casually, not briefly, deeply. They replay moments they pretended did not matter. They revisit conversations they ended too quickly. They feel the weight of words they never said and actions they delayed. During the day, they appear composed, functional, unbothered, but night removes all masks. At night, truth becomes louder than fear. They sit with questions they avoid when the sun is up. They wonder if you feel the same pull. They wonder if you sense the shift. They wonder how often their name crosses your mind when the world goes quiet. And here is what you must understand. This is not obsession. This is not weakness. This is recognition. Night after night, they check their own heart. They pause. They reflect. They think of you before sleep takes them, and sometimes they wake with you already on their mind. This is not coincidence. This is connection. You may have felt it without understanding why. A sudden calm, a strange awareness, a feeling of being gently watched over. That is because their nightly focus is sending energy in your direction. Not manipulation, not control, but quiet honesty. They are not planning harm. They are not wishing confusion. What they are doing is heavy because it is true. At night, they admit things to themselves they cannot yet admit to you. They face a realization that returns again and again. They miss you in ways they do not know how to express. They care more than they ever allowed themselves to show. They are learning lessons through silence. And every night, they promise themselves they will be braver tomorrow. Some nights they keep that promise internally. Some nights, fear interferes. But the intention does not disappear. There are moments when they almost reach out. Their hand pauses. Their mind debates. Fear steps in. Pride interferes. And the message remains unsent. But hear this clearly. Even unsent thoughts carry weight. Even silent intentions move energy. You are not imagining the pull. You are not creating stories in your mind. This connection exists because both sides are involved, even if only one side speaks aloud. Nighttime is when walls fall. And every night, their walls fall in your direction. They ask themselves questions they are not ready to answer yet. They replay memories and feel emotions they believed were buried. Some nights they smile. Some nights feel heavy. Some nights they whisper your name without sound. All of it is real. This is not about drama. This is about unfinished emotion, about a bond that has not yet spoken its full truth. You may notice something else happening within you. A growing calm, a stronger sense of self, a quiet clarity replacing confusion. That is not random. When someone consistently focuses sincere energy toward you, balance forms instead of chaos. And theirs, despite confusion, comes from honesty. They imagine a future conversation. They imagine clarity. They imagine a moment where silence finally ends. They are not fully ready to act yet, but preparation has already begun. That is why you were guided here. Not to fear, not to overthink, but to understand. Something meaningful is happening beyond words, beyond screens, beyond daytime distractions. Do not chase. Do not force. What is being built in the quiet will reveal itself in the light when the timing is correct. For now, remain present, remain open, remain patient, and listen closely, because what I will reveal next explains why this connection has intensified recently, and why ignoring this message would delay what is already aligning for you. Stay with me, my beloved soul. Remain here. What is happening now goes deeper than thought alone, because something has shifted not just in them, but in the space between you. Every night that passes is not repetition. It is progression. They are no longer simply thinking, they are remembering. Memory has power when it returns, with understanding instead of confusion. At night, they revisit moments they once dismissed as small. A look you gave, a pause in your voice, a silence that carried more meaning than words ever could. These memories return not to punish them, but to educate them. They are beginning to see clearly. You were not ordinary in their life. You were a turning point, a mirror, a moment of truth wrapped in human connection. And this realization is uncomfortable, because awareness always arrives before accountability. Some nights, they lie awake longer than they admit, not because they cannot sleep, but because sleep feels easier than facing the truth waiting in their dreams. You appear there too, not always as a face, sometimes as a feeling, sometimes as a presence, sometimes simply as your name, echoing gently. They begin to notice patterns, how their chest softens when they think of you, how their defenses weaken, how resistance feels heavier than acceptance. And slowly, something important happens. They stop fighting it. Pretending takes effort. Honesty, even silent honesty, brings relief. They ask themselves questions that no longer scare them as much. Why do you still matter? Why does your energy follow them into quiet hours? Why does avoidance feel harder than acknowledgement? The answer is simple. Real connections do not disappear just because time passes. They change shape, but they do not vanish. During the day, distraction protects them. Noise, responsibilities, movement. But night strips everything away. And when there is nothing left to hide behind, truth stands clearly. You are part of that truth. They are not planning dramatic gestures. They are not rehearsing speeches. What they are doing is more important. They are becoming aware. Awareness always comes before action. Every night, Awareness grows stronger. They imagine how you would respond if you knew. Would you understand? Would you feel the same pull? Would you still care? Hope and fear take turns answering. Fear whispers that time has passed, that silence has already spoken, that they waited too long. But hope speaks quieter and stronger. Hope reminds them that what is real does not expire. That timing is not immediate, but it is precise. You may notice changes in yourself too. Moments of unexpected calm, a sense of balance returning, a quiet confidence replacing restlessness. This is not coincidence. When truth is accepted on one side, energy rebalances on the other. They are also healing. Night by night, they face parts of themselves they avoided. Missed chances, emotional distance, decisions made from fear instead of clarity. Growth does not announce itself. It happens in silence. Some nights, they feel gratitude for you. Even if circumstances were complicated, even if things were unfinished, they recognize that you changed them, that you taught them something about depth, patience, and care. Other nights, sadness arrives. Not the kind that weakens, but the kind that teaches. Understanding brings weight. Understanding brings humility. They are not blaming you. They are not punishing themselves endlessly. They are simply seeing clearly. And clarity always comes before choice. You may feel a pull toward resolution within yourself, a sense that something unfinished is aligning. That is because both sides are being prepared. Even if neither fully understands how yet, they practice conversations silently, not dramatic ones, simple ones, honest ones. They imagine speaking without fear, and each time they imagine it, fear loses a little power. This is why patience matters now. Rushing would fracture what is being carefully formed. Silence guided by growth is not absence. It is preparation. They are becoming someone who can meet you with clarity instead of confusion, with honesty instead of mixed signals. And this transformation does not happen in daylight. It happens night after night. You are not waiting for nothing. You are not holding space for emptiness. You are allowing time to shape something stronger, more stable, more sincere. Trust the quiet work being done when no one is watching. Trust the process unfolding beyond words. What is meant to surface will surface. And when it does, you will understand why it required patience. Remain grounded. Remain open. Remain aware. Because what comes next explains why this connection has reached a point where it can no longer remain hidden, and why the nights themselves are now pushing something toward expression. Stay with me, my beloved soul. Listen even more closely now, because something irreversible has begun. The nights are no longer only about reflection. They are about decision. A quiet decision forming beneath awareness, growing stronger each time the world falls silent. They are no longer asking themselves whether you mattered. That question has already been answered. Now they ask something far more confronting. Why did they try so hard to ignore it? Why did they choose comfort over courage? Why did they remain silent when their heart was speaking clearly? These questions do not come with shame. They come with honesty, and honesty changes everything. At night, they feel braver, not brave enough to act impulsively, but brave enough to admit the truth without running from it. They admit they were afraid of vulnerability, afraid of losing control, afraid of carrying more than they felt prepared to handle. And in the stillness of night, those fears shrink. Because fear thrives in noise. Truth thrives in quiet. They begin to notice something else. The moments they felt strongest recently. The moments life felt meaningful again. The moments their heart felt calm instead of restless. All of them were connected to you. These were not coincidences. They were reminders. Some nights they choose silence deliberately. No distractions. No scrolling. No noise. Just stillness. And in that stillness, your presence feels unmistakable. Not overwhelming. Not demanding. Steady. Like a truth that does not need to shout to be known. They begin to understand something important. Not all connections are loud. Not all bonds arrive with chaos or drama. Some are quiet and powerful. Some change you slowly, without permission. They replay past choices with new eyes. What they once called strength, they now recognize as avoidance. What they once labeled independence, they now see as emotional distance. This realization does not break them. It builds them. Night after night, they practice honesty with themselves. They admit they miss you. They admit they care. They admit that part of them hopes paths will cross again in a meaningful way. These admissions are silent, but they are real. And something shifts within you as well. You may feel lighter, more centered, less anxious about the unknown. This is alignment forming. When truth is accepted on one side, balance moves toward the other. They also feel guilt. Not the kind that punishes, but the kind that teaches. Reflective guilt, corrective guilt, the kind that encourages growth instead of self-destruction. They accept it because they understand now that growth requires responsibility. Some nights, they imagine something simple, just sitting with you. No explanations, no pressure, presence, peace. And this image no longer scares them. It comforts them. They are learning that connection does not need labels to be real. It does not require constant communication to exist. What matters is intention, respect, emotional truth. And these things are becoming clear. They are also learning patience. They understand now that forcing outcomes leads to regret, while allowing things to unfold creates stability. So they wait. Not passively, consciously. They wait while becoming better. They forgive themselves for past mistakes. Forgiveness does not erase accountability. It creates space for change. And as they forgive themselves, they feel closer to the version of themselves you deserved all along. They wonder if you feel it too. If you ever pause unexpectedly and think of them without knowing why. If you sense the same quiet pull, they do not know the answer. But the possibility brings hope. Hope does not rush. Hope does not demand. Hope waits with confidence. And hope reminds them that silence does not always mean the end. They are not dreaming of perfection. They are dreaming of honesty, of showing up as they truly are, of speaking without fear, of listening without defense. These dreams are shaping them. Slowly, quietly, you may notice your own clarity sharpening. You are less willing to accept uncertainty, less inclined to settle for mixed signals. This is not separation. This is alignment. Two people growing independently, yet in rhythm. They are becoming emotionally available. not just for you, for themselves. And that is the most important transformation of all, because only someone who understands their own heart can truly honor another's. Every night, before sleep finally arrives, one consistent intention remains. Not fear, not regret, intention. The intention to be more present, more honest, more courageous. And when the moment comes, and it will come, it will not feel forced or shocking. It will feel natural, like something that was always meant to happen, simply waiting for the right alignment. Until then, trust what you feel. Trust the calm replacing confusion. The nights are still working. The truth is still unfolding. And what matures in silence often speaks the loudest when it finally finds its voice. Stay with me, because what I reveal next explains why the energy has shifted so strongly now, and why what approaches cannot be delayed much longer. My beloved soul, remain steady now, because the nights have crossed a threshold. What once felt heavy now feels purposeful. What once felt confusing now feels familiar. The quiet hours are no longer something they endure. They have become something they use. Every night adds another layer of understanding, another piece of truth settling into place. They are no longer questioning whether you mattered. That certainty has rooted itself too deeply to be shaken. Now the questions have changed. Why did they resist what felt real? Why did they stay silent when honesty would have brought relief? Why did they mistake emotional distance for strength? These questions do not accuse. They clarify. At night, they feel a different kind of courage. Not the loud kind, the grounded kind, the courage to admit they were protecting themselves from vulnerability, not protecting their peace. They see now that avoiding depth only created emptiness, and they are tired of emptiness. Some nights, a sudden urge to change rises within them, not to impress, not to be seen, but to be better. They reflect on how they respond, how they listen, how they withdraw, how they deflect, and quietly, without announcement, they begin to adjust. Real transformation does not make noise. It simply becomes visible over time. They imagine a version of themselves who shows up fully, who listens without defense, who cares without holding back. And instead of fearing that version, they feel inspired by it. That is how you know change is real. You may feel changes within yourself too. A stronger sense of self-respect, clearer boundaries, less tolerance for uncertainty. This is not distance forming. This is alignment strengthening. Two people growing separately, yet toward the same level of clarity. They begin to understand that whatever happens next, old patterns cannot be repeated. They do not want to speak from confusion again. They want to speak from understanding. And understanding takes time. Night after night, they choose patience. Some nights, they feel gratitude for the distance, not because they wanted it, but because it revealed what closeness truly means. Absence has a way of revealing value. They are no longer asking whether they should reach out impulsively. They are asking something more important. How can they show up correctly when they do? With respect, with emotional maturity, with honesty. This shift matters more than timing. They also begin to feel less afraid of outcomes. Whether the path leads to conversation, understanding, or peace, they trust that honesty will bring relief. Fear fades when truth feels safer than pretending. At night, They notice something unmistakable. Thinking of you brings calm. Avoiding thoughts of you brings tension. That tells them everything. What brings peace belongs. What creates anxiety through avoidance was never meant to stay buried. They practice letting go of control, letting go of expectations, letting go of how things should look. They focus instead on how things should feel, real, grounded, respectful. They acknowledge your strength now. Even if they never spoke it aloud before, they see it clearly. Your patience, your resilience, your ability to remain kind without abandoning yourself. These qualities were not invisible. They were simply understood too late. They no longer want to impress. They no longer want to perform. They want to be real. And this desire is shaping their choices, even now. You may notice your own anxiety about the unknown fading, less urgency, less desperation for answers. That is because your intuition senses clarity approaching. The nights are no longer about regret alone. They are about responsibility, about growth, about preparation. Preparation is a sign that something is approaching, not ending. They understand now that true connection is not measured by constant presence. It is measured by consistent intention, and their intention has become steady, sincere, clear. They are aligning themselves emotionally, not rushing, not delaying without reason. Aligning. Alignment always happens quietly before it becomes visible. Whatever unfolds next will not rise from confusion. It will rise from awareness, built over many silent nights. Nights where truth was faced, nights where fear softened, nights where growth replaced avoidance. Trust what is being built in silence. Trust that patience has not been wasted. Trust that clarity is closer than it feels. Remain open. Remain grounded. Remain aware, because what comes next does not arrive with chaos. It arrives with recognition, and when recognition completes, you will not need proof. You will simply know, stay with me, because what is about to be revealed explains why the waiting is nearly complete, and why what approaches you will feel unmistakably familiar, as if it has been moving toward you all along. My beloved soul, stay present now, because the quiet work has reached completion. What has been forming in the unseen is no longer fragile. It is no longer uncertain. It is no longer drifting. It is ready. The nights have done what daylight could not. They have stripped illusion. They have softened fear. They have refined intention. And now something settles inside them that does not waver. They no longer question their own heart. They understand now that what they felt was never confusion. It was avoidance trying to protect them from depth. And depth can no longer be avoided. The nights feel different. Not heavy, not restless, but grounded, purposeful. Each quiet hour has shaped them into someone who can stand in truth without retreating. They are no longer rehearsing excuses. They are no longer bargaining with fear. They are aligning. And alignment creates momentum. They have accepted something fully now. That connection does not fade when it is real. It does not weaken with silence. It matures. And what matures does not beg to be expressed. It moves when the timing is right. They are no longer driven by regret. Regret taught them. Now responsibility guides them. They understand the cost of emotional distance. They understand the value of presence. They understand that withholding truth only delays peace, and peace has become more important than protection. You may feel it too. A deep calm replacing anticipation, a knowing replacing anxiety, a steadiness that does not require answers to feel secure. That is not resignation. That is readiness. When the spirit stops reaching, it is because it knows what is approaching. They are no longer asking if something should happen. They are preparing for how to meet it honestly. With grounded words, with steady energy, with respect instead of fear. They understand now that courage is not loud. Courage is choosing truth even when it changes everything. They are ready to show up as they are, not as they pretended to be. They are no longer concerned with outcome. They are concerned with integrity. And integrity clears paths that force never could. You may notice something important within yourself. You are no longer searching for confirmation. You are no longer asking the universe to explain itself. You feel composed, centered, clear. That is because alignment has reached both sides. Not through effort, through understanding. This is how real connections prepare themselves. Not with urgency, not with pressure, but with internal stability. What approaches you will not arrive dramatically. It will feel familiar, natural, like a continuation rather than a beginning. You will recognize it not by excitement alone, but by peace. Your body will relax. Your thoughts will settle. Your spirit will stop questioning. That is the sign. And when that moment arrives, you will understand why waiting was necessary, why silence had purpose, why timing mattered. Nothing was wasted. Every night shaped something essential. This is why you were guided to hear this now. Not to create expectation, but to remove doubt. Not to stir longing, but to anchor trust. And listen closely to this final truth. What is real does not rush you. What is real does not confuse you. What is real does not require constant reassurance. It arrives when both sides are ready to hold it, and readiness has been achieved. Remain grounded. Remain open. Remain present. Because what has been forming in silence is about to speak in reality. And when it does, you will not need signs. You will not need explanation. You will simply know. If this message brought clarity to your heart, allow yourself to stay connected to this frequency. Presence deepens understanding. Attention strengthens alignment. And those who remain open receive insight before others do. Stay aware. Stay steady. The quiet has finished its work. And what comes next will make sense in a way that requires no words at all.